Well, we were going the whole time here. People were like, hey, what's going on? All right.
Good morning.
Morning.
Little buttercups. Happy Independence.
There you go. Waking up.
Priming the pump. Good morning. Did you miss us yesterday? I kind of have a feeling that you did. But actually, you're probably sleeping.
Yeah, most people sleep in. People are like, why do you do it so early?
Why
it's
do
the
we
only
do it
time
so
we
early?
have.
Yeah, it's the only time that we
got to use the time wisely. Otherwise, there's squirrel.
Yep.
And then other stuff.
Yeah.
Schedule consistently. Good morning, Tammy.
Good morning,
schedule
Tammy.
Consistently is challenging.
And I'm one of those people, like, I wake up and I'm a time saver, right? I don't want to like have to be a slave to things, right? Like makeup is one of those things where I feel like, oh, it's just like a chore that I do every day. And so I put it on, and then actually a couple hours later, some days like at 8:30 or 9:45, I'll go to my Zumba class and I'll show up with a full face with my workout clothes. I'm sure people are like, what the hell is she doing?
They're like, oh, one of those.
Yeah, one of those. Well, really what it is I'm lazy. And so then I'll go in the shower after and just like not try to get my face wet.
Your face doesn't sweat?
It does, but the makeup sticks because I put like spray stuff on it. I know that might seem a little bit gross, but I like it's really about convenience and ease. Because if I had to then work out and do my makeup after that, I'd be like,
is that healthy?
I don't care.
All right.
I don't care. Probably not. Like my sweat is trapped. It's a little gross, right? Inside my makeup, but I don't really care because then I can shower with my face out of the water. And then
in your hair, don't you get sweat in your hair?
I do, but I don't care. I just let it go. I literally just let it go. I think people think that I care more than I actually do care about stuff like that. But we put the post in here today about emotional and psychological freedom. And I really, Independence Day is a really important day, right? I mean, for obviously for everybody who's fought for our independence, but we don't think about it in the ways that I want to think about it, which is you could be a slave to a lot of things, right? You can be a slave to other people's opinions of you. You could be a slave to other people, relationships that you can't seem to pull the trigger and leave on. You could be a slave to people, places, or things, really, to a behavior that's compulsive that you can't seem to. And so
slave to your own thought patterns.
Slave to your own thought patterns. And so really what's that costing us is our psychological and emotional freedom. Emotional because if you're trapped in a space like that, you feel anxious all the time. You feel this low level or intense feeling of sadness or depression kind of looming around. Like it could be anything from a little gray cloud following you around to a complete and total thunderstorm sucking you in on a daily basis.
Think Pigpen.
Yeah. So just depression, anxiety, just a low level sense of fulfillment or a big sense of that. And so, and psychological, you're thinking too much, right? You're constantly trapped in your own mind. You lay down to go to bed, but it never shuts off. And so you find yourself just like psychologically, like mental masturbation, constantly running over ideas, and really just like it's a merry-go-round without a destination. It's like you never get anywhere. So I thought today, wouldn't it be so cool if you and I shared 3 things that we needed to release in order to have that emotional and psychological freedom. And you could be thinking about the things that maybe you need to let go of this independence season, and what would happen in your life if you were prepared to handle some of these things or let them go. How would your life be different? What would you be able to manifest and create that really is your birthright that's waiting for you, except your hands are tied, right, with these behaviors or thoughts or situations that you're in that you're prisoner to. You're holding yourself hostage. So what's one? I'm curious. We didn't share these with each other, so I'm super curious to hear what yours are. So what's one of your first ones?
Well, I've shared in the past, I've always felt like a misfit on the island of misfit toys. Yeah. And while, we always do need to fit in somewhere and have a tribe, mm-hmm. The idea that it has to look a certain way or that kind of thing. And I was able to, I always loved Dr. Seuss growing up, and I had all the Dr. Seuss books and was always into the art and all of that. And one of the sayings that he shared is be who you are and feel what you feel, because those who mind do not matter and those who matter do not mind. And that was very freeing. That was like kind of became a mantra for me, because rather than always worrying about and feeling like an outcast all the time and feeling misunderstood and feeling like I didn't belong, I became more okay with it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I'm like a hippo, right? Happy like a hippo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe we'll place that story again, where it always pissed me. I was either pissed off or depressed all the time growing up. Like I would be pissed off that no one got me, no one understood me, no one accepted me, no one like appreciated my humor or any of that stuff. And
well, some things don't change.
No, I get that, but now I'm okay with it. Or I was depressed because nobody liked me, I didn't fit in, all that, and I would just always be pissed off and depressed. And it was actually, believe it or not, it was when I started getting into personal development and Tony Robbins' Personal Power, the 30 Days to Personal Power, dating myself here, cassettes my mom had purchased. And that started to become a huge game changer for me, because then I was able to understand how to communicate with myself, how these patterns were showing up, and begin to just be okay with being different. And not being understood was not like there was something wrong with me. It was just the way I was. And it also gave me the opportunity as well to accept other people for the way they were and have more empathy and compassion for them being different, unique, or having their own opinions about things.
I'm going to write that down so that I remember what they all are at the end. Yeah, I like that a lot. And that goes in line. That's a little bit similar to one of the ones that I was going to share, which is freeing myself. So I'm going to talk about the 3 things I freed myself from, right? Freed myself from judgment. And the first thing was, it wasn't like so much I was worried about what other people would think, although I was this internal judge in my head. And it could be anything, Doug. I mean, anything at all. I could say something inconsequential at a meeting, and I would drive home. Like I had a 45-minute drive to this corporate office where I would go in, and we'd sit in this big meeting where I wanted to be like important and get promoted. And I could say something in the meeting, and then and it could have been great. It could have been nothing bad happened at all, but I would spend 45 minutes on the drive home replaying the scenario. And I could have said this and I should have said that. And why didn't I do it this way? And next time, and just beat the ever loving hell out of myself over absolutely everything. It was like I never got a break in my own mind from the constant, ever-present, all-consuming judgment. It was like everything I did got run through a shredder of, you should have done this, you should have done this, you should have this. And of course, that behavior trickled over into other people, but it was never as bad as on myself, but other people as well. So I think releasing that judgment of myself and of other people, and kind of like holding them hostage to a standard of perfectionism. We've talked about that before, but just this hypercritical, it goes beyond the average bear. Like normal people, it's almost like being an emotional sadist where you're like literally just beating the crap out of yourself. And man, that was hard because I could never really feel even the things that I would do well. And I would
never good enough.
I would still beat the shit out of myself. Like, oh man, I should have done that better. And that really was keeping me from my joy. That was keeping me from emotional freedom, because what that was doing was contributing to that anxiety. And like constantly running those things over and over again was just creating this overwhelming sense of like pit in my stomach, And then I would try to anticipate what other people were going to do so that I would know how to behave in those situations. And
tiring.
Oh man, I was so exhausted. It was like I was constantly playing chess. The world's playing checkers. They're just going to go next. And I'm like 5 steps ahead of everybody trying to figure it out. It was really, really tiring. And so, yeah, I think the judgment was a really big one. Good. What's another one for you? Guys, be writing yours down in here too when you come in here as well, right? Because this is a 2-way, this is like a multiple way conversation. When you come in here in the morning, and I know we're used to Facebook being like a participant sport, right? We were trained, we're conditioned into believing like this is a spectator sport, right? You're just kind of sitting in it, but you're here, like you're part of this community, you're part of this group. So when you come in, make your voice known, say hello in the comments, and contribute and participate. Tell us, what are some of the things that you're leaving behind, or can you relate when we're talking and say, oh yeah, judgment, I could really use to get rid of that one, or feeling, accepting, embracing myself. It's really important that we share in this morning routine, because look, you're up, you're already here. Amazing. Hello, kudos, right? It's 6:30.
Well, and if you're watching on a replay, you can still chime in, because we'll come back.
We go back and read them all.
So one of the things that we're all sort of conditioned to as well as we're growing up, like, what are you going to be when you're going to grow up? What are you going to, like, what is, and very often our identity is encased in that work. And I remember when I was going to school, I always wanted to do music when I was growing up. I always wanted to, like, there was just some connection there. Mm-hmm. And but my dad wanted me to go to college and was paying for it, or would pay for it.
Oh, that would be.
And I went to one day, and I was like, that's it. I'm doing music. Like that's what I'm going to do. And I did. And I story for another day, built my career up in music. But then that became my identity. And when the industry sort of crashed a bit, and it's never been the same since. It was disrupted by technology in a big way. I had to let go of that being my identity, and how would I find a way to still live my passion and actually it comes up to a plug.
I love that. Good job.
In here, there's talk about that, about how I had to figure out why I loved music so much. What was it about all the things that I did in music, and how could I translate that into another experience? And, not to plug Tony again, it's just that when I went to Unleash the Power Within, I was able to have that moment because he created an environment that I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is what I want to do. Like, this is like a concert. There's still that interaction. There's still a crowd. There's still entertainment. And what made it even cooler was there was now edutainment. There was education, that when I left this concert, I had some aha moments, some distinctions, some learnings that made me a better person. So I was like, wow, this is better than just music, because now, while I'm getting all of the benefits that I got from music, there's now supercharged, because I'm actually leaving more of a legacy, as opposed to just having, distraction and distracted people for a couple hours. It's now adding value that's beyond the value of the entertainment.
I love that a lot. I can relate to that a lot too. Having that identity of like being a corporate executive, and I'm like vice president of this company or whatever. And then when the market crashed in 2008, just losing everything, it was like, oh my God, if I'm not my title, who am I? What's my worth? What's my value? Because my worthiness and my value was wrapped up in what I did, not who I really was inside, underneath of all of that. And
here it's what kind of Tammy said, never feeling like I'm enough. That's the underlying thing to all of this, is that we're all trying to figure out who we are so that someone could appreciate us, recognize us, and ultimately love us. And we create that correlation of, if I'm successful enough, if I'm famous enough, if I'm rich enough, if I'm funny enough, if I'm creative enough, then, and I don't know why she loves me, because I'm not as funny as she thinks I am.
Or that the money will make you happy.
Right.
Right. The second thing for me is probably, I always, like John Maxwell always says, this is the best, my favorite ball. This is my favorite principle. This
is the most dramatic
this is the most
season
important,
ever.
Right? But these three are really crucial to, I know, me turning my life around, and really, because at that point, there was a point in my life where it wasn't just about, oh, will I make enough money? Oh, will I be successful enough? It was, I would self-destruct, and that's my second thing, setting myself free from all my self-destructive behavior, self-destructive tendencies, self-sabotage tendencies, because I would get to this place of success and I would wreck it. I would just do something to like make it all come crashing down around me. And there was a couple things going on. Like one was I couldn't really be that good, right? I'd always had to have I didn't know that I needed to confirm my deep-seated feeling of inadequacy. So if there's a deep-seated feeling of unworthiness, I would need to sabotage or self-destruct, and I wouldn't let myself be so successful, because then I couldn't say what's wrong with me, right? I always needed something going on with me, a problem to fix, something happening with me. And I didn't know that at the time. Now, having 10 years later made sense of all my self-destructive behavior and being free from that behavior for almost a decade, has given me the clarity that I need to see why I was doing it, how I was doing it. And that's really the work I do now with the people that I serve, is helping them figure out what their self-destructive tendencies are. And because that's the thing, if you have that behavior, then that's a whole nother level, right? That's a whole nother level, because you'll get into relationships, and then you'll do things to like poke people, test them, push their buttons, see when they avoid you or abandon you. You know, you'll get into a job and you'll find yourself like just sabotaging in that environment, whether you might be successful, but you sabotage your relationships with other people within there. So there's so many different ways. For me, it was using alcohol and food. Those were the two big things. And those numbing agents were really ruining my life. And I had no psychological or emotional freedom, because as a binge eater or a binge drinker, I could pretend I was okay, because it's not something I wasn't like every day. You know what I mean? I wasn't like one of those people, right? So I let myself feel a little bit better. But after a binge or an episode, I would wake up with so much shame. I would just not even, if it was wine or a night after, I'd be like, oh God, what did I say? Who did I text? What did I do? Who did I hurt? You know, emotionally, because I would get drunk and then feel like, oh yeah, now I'm going to speak my truth or whatever. Or with food, just wake up feeling like sick to my stomach, like can't believe I did that. And really that's a worthiness thing. It's like, oh good, I get to beat the shit out of myself again today because of this self-induced behavior that I'm doing that keeps me stuck in this pattern of my own unworthiness. Oh man, exhausting. Sounds like a really sad case. Now that I'm saying it, I'm like, man, I was like, right? But yeah, I kind of was a real hot mess. And but you wouldn't tell that from the outside looking in. It looked pretty good. It looked like I had it all kind of working, firing on all cylinders. But behind closed doors was where this little like game would happen, right? Get promoted, make more money, drink my face off, forget my own name, go into work hungover the next day. You know, it was like that kind of a thing. It was really sick.
Well, and it's unfortunate because that's the dance that so many of us have done or do, where we're so wanting it to look a certain way. It looks good, and then we don't admit, and we're not like, we don't spend enough time being honest with ourselves to go, it's not quite where I want it to be, because if I admit that, then I'm going to feel even worse about myself, and then it's going to, go down the spiral, because a lot of times people don't get the help that they need until they're desperate enough to do so. And that's a challenge. It's okay to go, you know what? Things are not perfect, and I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to study. I know Jim Rohn talked about, like, if you want more happiness, study happiness. If you want better health, study health. If you want better wealth, study wealth. But oftentimes we get fearful to do that, because then we're going to notice the gaps even more, which will then make us feel even less worthy, even less valuable, all that, because we go, that's where I could be, or where I should be. Oh my gosh, look at all the time that I wasted. And then the spiral goes more, and then like, let me just have a drink, let me have some food, let me have some distraction, so that we don't have to feel less than, and it's self-imposed. So that's the dance that many of us do, and why it takes so long for people to sometimes get the help or follow through with the opportunities laid out in front of us.
So Tammy asked a really good question about what's enough. And that's a question that we explore, right? When in our work together, and because that's a whole nother concept. What is enough? There are so many layers to enough, because it's like, it's not enough, you're not enough, I'm not enough, and there's not enough. And a lack mentality is the root of that enoughness, and it permeates every area of our lives. And so we have to unpack it. We have to see, and then really decide, when we answer that question, what it is that we really want and what we really desire. Then, because I love this saying, right, about binging and on food or drinks or whatever, you know why there's never enough French fries or never enough Oreos or never enough wine, because you can never have enough of what you don't really want. So part of this art is learning of fulfillment, of having it all, is learning what it is that you truly do desire. And when you fill up on that, you'll know when it's enough, because you're truly fulfilled. You're satiated, right?
You won't be asking the questions.
You won't be asking a question anymore. When you find what it is that you, Tammy, and you, everybody, really, truly desire in your heart of hearts, and stop putting Band-Aids on flesh wounds and the masks. Now, unfortunately, the hardest thing is we have to eradicate the mask so that we can expose the root and see what it is we really desire. And sometimes that's the hardest thing for people, is like taking away the thing. And you don't even have to take it away all at first. I'm coaching you already, but look, when we work together, you're coming to the retreat in New York. We're going to get underneath the hood of that even more and have a whole session just spent on that particular concept. So you're going to be really in for a treat. For the rest of you that aren't coming to the retreat, if you want to, go to lovecoachheidi.com and find out about it. But also in Life School and Love Yourself First Embodiment, which is my worthiness and self-esteem program that helps cure all dysfunctional relationship challenges, all feelings of inadequacy, not enoughness, and lack. In Life School, we systematically remove all those blocks one at a time. If you're interested in either one of those things, go to lovecoachheidi.com and send me a message and check it out. What's your last thing?
That's one I still, all these still working on, is appreciating just presence and exercising being present instead of, and it's all, look, everything we're sharing is kind of the exact same thing in our relationship with ourselves and others. And
I'm writing them down, guys, so that
the idea of presence is not worrying about what's going on, the things I can't control, not worrying about the past, not worrying about the future, being present in this moment with whomever I'm with. And ultimately that's more of a conduit to my connection to God, to my higher power, our higher power, whatever language you want to use, because we are unable to connect fully to that when we're so busy trying to put it in a box and all of that. So the presence is also being open and aware of what's going on, who I'm communicating with, how I'm communicating, how I'm allowing source to flow, and see, hear, and feel the experience of that in whatever it is I'm doing. Oftentimes, if you think about it, everything that we do to distract ourselves, whether it be internet, television, drinking, all of these experiences are really a way to get ourselves out of our head, which is that presence, that of being aware, self-aware, and aware of more.
I like that a lot. Yeah, that's one of the tenets in my 7 spiritual self-love vows is I live in the present moment. That's where I feel like that's such an important quality to be able to have, because everything you want is in that moment. And all the anxiety, it comes from not being there. The last thing for me was, myself and a lot of the people that I work with have had a lot of situations, either traumatic or dysfunctional kind of upbringings or experiences in their lives. And it's one thing in life to be like, oh yeah, I know that happened for a reason. That happened for a reason. God bless, that happened for a reason. Oh yes, Lord, it happened because it needed to happen. But then we still walk through our lives with this underlying victim kind of sense mentality, right? Like still feeling like bad things happen to us and not really and still carrying around the guilt, the shame, the resentment, the rage from the past, pretending and masquerading like we're past it, but in reality, we're really not over it. It's still cropping up in our relationships and affecting our everyday. How do you know? Because you don't have the fuel that you need to go after your dreams, right? You're always stopping. So for me, that last thing was being able to make sense of my past and turn my pain into purpose. Not just being able to say, for me, it wasn't enough to go, I understand why it happened, but to use it to my good, to use it as my fuel, to use it as a way to help other people. That for me was totally life transforming. And even the things that didn't seem like you could make sense of, right? And so for a lot of the people that I help, that's one of the main things that they say really transformed their lives, is like, wow, I can make sense of everything now. And I actually feel totally free. I think Carl Jung said, the greatest gift you can give another human being is to help them make sense of their past. And I truly believe that, because that's really what holds us hostage. Even the things that we're over now, right? If you're better now and you were self-destructive, but you're still like having shame or regret from the things you did in your life, not even the things that other people did for you, but learning how to let yourself off the hook and let that past go, let that shiz go, is probably the best thing in the world. So if you miss one of these 6 things, go back and watch these videos. I'm actually going to be doing a training over on my Facebook page, like an evening of training on those 3 things that I talked about. If you're interested in that, make sure you leave a comment and let me know, and I'll make sure to send you a message and let you know where and when to be, so that you can see that, where we deep dive in and communicate with each other. So if that resonated with you, one of those 3 things sounds like, yeah, perks up, or even something that Doug had mentioned as well, then sign up for that training just by letting me know you want me to remind you, and I will in the comments. Okay. Yeah, I think that's great, right? We're about to go into the weekend and have a beautiful weekend. I'm going to clean out the garage.
We say that every weekend.
I'm really going to do it. You guys are going to see me listing some stuff on Marketplace today, right?
See, we didn't do it yesterday.
If you're in the mood to buy
so
something
have a,
from our house.
Yard sale.
Yeah, I know. We're not going to do a yard sale. But every time we do a yard sale anyway, I feel like I get violated. People come up, there's something nice, right? It could be like Tiffany sunglasses, which you really shouldn't have at a yard sale, and they'll be like, a quarter? And you're like, no, like $150 or $100.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like,
we shouldn't be expecting to be selling.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. I'm being overly dramatic. Beautiful messages. Thank you. Serenity prayer helps me, but only short term. Yeah. And
it's a practice. That's the thing.
It's a practice, but it's also, if you uproot it, Amy, if you get underneath the hood, then you don't, because even things like that can be nice in the moment, but they're all band-aids on flesh wounds at the end of the day. If you root up the real inadequacy, if you root up the real unworthiness, then there's no need to constantly be affected by everybody. It's like what I call, like one of the things I have on my program, Life School, on the page where people can find out more about it. There's like all these benefits that you're going to get. Do you know what my favorite benefit is? Is become unwithable. And that's what I want for all of us, is that we don't get rattled or shook by every little thing that comes our way, is that we're so rooted and grounded in our own worthiness that we can just go with the flow and remain centered in our power, rooted down in who we are and our truth. Oh my gosh, there's not a better place to be in this world than there. So I want to help you get there.
Yeah, just so we're clear, this isn't creating like an internal utopia where you never ever have any challenges. It's just how long are you spending in them?
Yeah, but you have the strategies. I might get a little bit like, oh, but I don't get sucked down the rabbit hole anymore, man. And I've got some people in my life and situations in my life, and trust me when I tell you that people still trying to play. People still trying to play, suck me down. Come on down the rabbit hole. No thanks, crazy. I don't want to get on that train. This is my stop. Thank the Lord. Okay, I want to help you be able to do the same thing. Go to lovecoachheidi.com. Send me a message if you're ready to get started on that. Okay.
Yeah, and I guess I think that's what the myth I think of personal development sometimes comes in, is that people are expecting to be fixed, that there's going to be all of a sudden this transcendence that we never ever have thoughts that are get in the way and all of that. And that's like saying I ate a salad and I don't understand why I'm not completely fit, or I walked around the block.
It's
right?
like saying that when you're enlightened, you become superhuman. But here's the fact. There's this old saying that says, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. And that's what you're describing right there in a nutshell. Is like you're still a human being on the planet doing the work, and you're still practicing and applying. But really, there does feel like a transformation.
Absolutely.
There is a metamorphosis that happens.
I just sometimes, just working in this field, sometimes have seen people
selling the bullshit.
Well, and then and then they go, this didn't work. And then they give up on themselves because they tried something and it didn't work. It's not that it didn't work. It's like what Amy shared. It worked for that moment. Well, but that's all we have are these moments. So what we're learning is all these strategies to let more and more of the thoughts, the challenges go. So we're not spending our time, our days in them. We have moments, right? Some people have bad days, bad weeks, bad months, and then other people have bad moments, and it's not like Heidi and I go around going Lego, like everything is awesome all the time. There's sometimes
I would roundhouse you to the liver with a throat kick punch if you walked around with like that. I'd be like, "Where's the real?"
Right. So that's I don't know why I was inspired to say that. I think
Good.
Sometimes we get confused with what this path looks like, and that all of a sudden we should wake up one day because we read a book, we went to a seminar, we did a thing, and then we had to, we didn't have to worry about eating our broccoli anymore. Mm-hmm. Like it's creating the new lifestyle, the new habits, the new patterns that help us operate at a higher level.
Yeah, that's true. And it's a daily walk. It's a daily walk.
That's why we do this every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we love you guys so much. All right, guys. So we're gonna get moving along today because we've kept you for a long time this morning. Kate, go back and watch the replay of the whole thing, and then you and I are gonna connect on Monday. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about what's happening with you. Okay. All right. I love you guys so much. I
love you for who you are and who you aren't,
and love yourself first. Hope you have a beautiful weekend. Okay, make it count.
See you Monday.
Bye, guys.